Hi, welcome to season 2 of Let's Talk About Acne. I'm Shanna Moranti, a dermatology PA from Naples, Florida, and I'm joined today by two of my absolute favorite gurus, Dr. Hillary Baldwin and Dr. Julie Harper. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome back. So let's dive into some acne conversations and some conversations that are happening in our offices.
Okay.
I am the mother of 3 girls right now, currently 13, 10, and 8. And this generation, I feel like, is so much more savvy to skincare, going from the 8, 9, 10-year-olds all the way through the teenage years than any other time that I remember in my 20 plus year career. And we're getting a lot of questions about things that they may have seen on social media or purchases that they perhaps bought at Sephora or Ulta. So how do we, as the dermatology professionals, give them counseling on how to use these products, where to layer these products, and if they even need these products? I know that was a lot, so.
It is. It is. Well, you know, I have 2 23-year-olds, and they're still doing that same thing, maybe 8, 9, 10 years later. And it drives me absolutely crazy because they buy all these things that they don't need. They spend a ton of money. And I end up saying, you do realize that your mother is a dermatologist, right? I have a drawer of samples. Why are you doing this sort of thing? But, you know, when the patients come in and they're on so many different medications, different products that they've purchased, what I want to do is have them stop all of it and just do what I tell them to do. But I find that you can't do that. You can't stop them from using all these things that they enjoy. And, you know, some of them are going to make their acne worse. Some of them are going to make it so that they can't use my acne medications. And it's a lose-lose proposition.
No wonder they're frustrated.
Right.
No wonder they come in and they feel like they've tried everything.
Yes.
Because in their mind, they have. They may have purchased everything that Amazon recommended.
You used the word savvy, and I think some of them are savvy, but I also think many of our youngest patients are really just overwhelmed and kind of desperate. They're also overly fixated on skincare. You know, I really would like to see us just get back to healthy skin and not all of these ideals that set the bar for how skin is supposed to look way too high. And it's just become this obsession and a fixation. How do we combat that? I think it is difficult. And I think we said this last time. Let girls do some of the fun steps that they want to.
Yeah.
And I do say girls. I think this is mostly young females. But we do have to yank them back at some level. You know, you don't need 10 steps. You don't need probably even 5 steps. Certainly not when you're 11 or 12. So just, you know, making sure that we can recommend products that they can use that are effective, that are not going to do any harm, and that maybe they would actually need and find useful.
Absolutely. So there is this concept of the glass skin, and I hear that almost daily in my practice. And I think all patients really, truly want flawless skin. I think the cosmeceutical industry has done a great job, and now social media is doing a great job at reinforcing that everyone should have flawless skin. So the concept of the glassy skin, you know, I don't exactly know how to counsel them on how to achieve that. You know, I think I want to focus more on let's get the skin clear, you know, and then develop products that can help keep and maintain that clearance.
Well, I think it's unattainable, especially during the teenage years. It's just not going to happen. And then you have a brief period of time perhaps in your 20s into your early 30s when maybe it's attainable. And then you hit 40 and it's all downhill from there. So nobody's going to really look glassy. And as you pointed out, it sets the bar way too high, especially for that poor girl whose acne is quite bad.
And again, you know, anytime we talk even about glass skin, and I don't want to put my head in the sand and act like, you know, none of this is out there. But if we're not careful, what happens sometimes is the tail is wagging the dog again. So this ideal that's placed out there hasn't come from the dermatology world. This is not a goal that we have set. This is an unattainable goal that I think is out there to market products to people.
For sure.
My job is to try to kind of untangle that and to maybe not even use that type of language, but teach my patients what they can do to have the best appearing skin that they can.
So I think simplicity is
Mm-hmm.
really important to preach to this, to all age groups. Even when we talk to adult females or adult males that have incorporated a lot of skincare products into their regimens, we need to be the ones to provide them with information. Maybe it's the first time they've heard that benzoyl peroxide doesn't play well with certain ingredients, and maybe letting them know some retinoids are not photostable and should not be used in the morning. And so educating them on not only the ingredients that we are prescribing, but then how to kind of simplify their regimen to make it an easier morning or an easier evening.
And it's interesting you say that, because I'm sitting here thinking, when I counsel patients, sometimes I almost feel bad to maybe eliminate some products that they're using.
Yes.
But it is not infrequent, though, that they're like, oh, phew, good, I don't need all of that. They kind of appreciate this simplified regimen once we get around to it. Yes, they do.
For sure.
And the money
Yes.
that is being spent on all of these products. I think we have data even for acne patients that by the time they get to us to have their acne treated, they have tried 7, 8 products. Do you know how much money they've spent trying to clear this acne up? And it hasn't worked.
Nuts.
It hasn't worked.
For sure.
And then they complain about the copay for the prescription
Right.
medication when they've already spent $1,000 on everything. One of the things I think this has done for me is that, in the old days, we used to say KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And the more products you gave, the less likely they were to purchase, the less likely they were to use anything. But now, asking them to put 3 things on every day, it's like, oh, okay. Just when do I do that in combination with the 15 things I'm already doing?
Right.
It
So doesn't seem so unreasonable anymore.
Right, exactly. They're willing to do a multi-step process, which is kind of helpful sometimes.
So I think what I'm hearing is when it comes to our teen and tween patients, we certainly want to keep those regimens very simple and maybe simplify some of that complexity and some of the misinformation that's out there and being preached to our teenage patients via social media. So of course, we all have a new favorite that's been out for about a year, Cabtrio. And this certainly has simplified acne regimens in my practice. Dr. Harper, where do you typically layer a product like Cabtrio? And has this product begun to simplify your counseling for patients as well?
Oh, 100% it has. So Cabtrio has been a game changer, I think, for all of us. And I do pick it in part because it is simple, because we have those 3 products in one. But the chief reason that I pick it is because it's so efficacious. That's number one. If I had this 3-in-1 product that did not give me numbers like 70% reduction of lesions at week 12 or 50% of people clear or almost clear at week 12, then I wouldn't pick it.
Right.
But because I have efficacy and I have good tolerability and I have ease and simplicity of use, then it's a win. And I use it a lot, and I use it by itself a lot. So we can layer it with skincare, but you know what I don't usually have to layer it with is other acne medications.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, me too. I was always a person who started off big, right? I never started off little and then and added things. I like to start off with a bunch of medications all at once and then cut back as the patient got better. And that often included an oral antibiotic and a topical. And then the idea was, as soon as you get better, we drop the oral antibiotic so that we don't add any problems as being bad stewards of antibiotics. But now I don't have to do that anymore.
You don't have to do that.
Because not only does it work well, but it works fast.
It's very fast.
I used to count on the oral antibiotics to really get that kick in early. I told patients we're going to get you over the hurdle. And then once you're on the other side, we can stop the antibiotic and continue the topical. But now it's not necessary.
So skip to 2025. Has it changed your prescribing habits of systemics?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
To me, that has been something I didn't even expect.
Right.
But I am prescribing way fewer systemics across the board. The exception might be isotretinoin.
Right.
But I don't feel like I need an oral antibiotic as much as I used to. And if I can be a good steward like that and get the efficacy and get the job done with just a topical product, then why not do that?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Why not do
I
that?
totally agree. So we should devise regimens for our patients that are simple, that are efficacious, and that our patients will want to be compliant with.
Yes.
So maybe finding a regimen that the patient loves, that we love the efficacy of, and that can keep it simple for patients. Well, thank you so much for today. And please stay tuned for the next episode of Let's Talk About Acne.